Good evening, everyone. My name is Kevin Warner Holstein. I am the instructor of the ensemble you are going to see. We're really excited for you to see the show. Some of you may never have heard of Sondheim before. Some of you may know about Sondheim a lot. Composer of some of the greatest musicals ever written, and passed away this year. That's why we're doing a review show. And it's been a journey, let's just put it that way. In the last 2 weeks, we had 1 week where we had half of the cast here, because the other were out due to pandemic issues, let's put it that way. So this crew worked really hard to put this show on its feet in a week. And we are also missing 2 cast members. I don't know how many of you count the number of people on the list. There are 23 people listed on our cast list. You'll see 21 on stage tonight. But I know that A.Z. Gorman and Stella Thorvaldson are with us in spirit. So they did some really great work, and they're just not able to be with us today. One thing I also forgot to mention and put on the program is that our third quarter, we had an amazing student teacher here. Right, everyone? Yeah! And I'm really happy that Claire Carell to see, I was out for crazy family things, and Claire took the reins and really kept things moving forward in the process. So tonight, some of the things you'll be seeing are people that have only had a solo for a day and a half, and the lines associated with them. And I'm telling you this just because I think you'll be amazed and you won't be able to figure out who it is, because that's how good they are. They've stepped up. There's no one that you're like, oh, they just got their line. Nice. Good for them. Nice try. I don't think you'll notice that at all. But I want you to know that the work that was put in has really put together an amazing show. And I think every teacher's like, it always comes together, and we never think it's going to, and then it does. So you are going to get a 45-minute fire hose of information and great music by Stephen Sondheim. And with that, I'm going to stop talking. I have things to do over there, run music. And this is Sondheim, a musical life review. No! Turn the lights back on. I'm ready.
On November 26, 2021. Stephen Sondheim, a funny thing happened on the way to the Forum, opened in 1962. It ran for 964 performances and won a number of Tony Awards, including the Tony for Best Musical in 1963. Forum marked the first musical that Sondheim both wrote the lyrics and composed the music for. This show was based on the writings of the Roman playwright Plautus. Using the classic elements of farce, this show tells the story of a slave trying to win his freedom by helping his owner win the love of the courtesan at the brothel next door. This was not a typical story for Broadway at the time. However, it was a sneak peek of what to expect from the future shows of Mr. Sondheim. Welcome to Sondheim, a musical life in review. We are so glad that you are here to celebrate the career of, quite arguably, musical theater's most influential lyricist and composer.
Stephen Sondheim's creative career spans 7 decades and 19 shows from 1957 to 2008, creating some of the most memorable pieces in musical theater canon, earning Tonys, Grammys, an Academy Award, a Laurence Olivier Award, a Pulitzer Prize, a Kennedy Center Honor, and a Presidential Medal of Freedom.
While Sondheim wrote both the music and lyrics for most of his shows, the first produced works that he helped work on were collaborations. These were West Side Story with music by Leonard Bernstein and Gypsy with music by Julie Stein.
This next song is based on that second collaboration. Gypsy is loosely based on the 1957 memoir of the burlesque dancer Gypsy Rose Lee. The show is the story of her life, starting from the vaudeville circuit and through her years on the burlesque stage. The show focuses on her mother, Rose. This song is when her mother, Rose, is trying to rally the group after her sister leaves to have a life of her own.
Wherever we go, whatever we do, we're gonna go through it together. We may not go far, but sure as a star. Wherever we go, we're together. Wherever I go, Sondheim, who worked on 3 shows during this time. Opening in 1964, Anyone Can Whistle tells the story of a corrupt mayoress who fakes a miracle to save her bankrupt town, only for her plan to be thwarted by an idealistic nurse and a stranger who might be a doctor.
Sound a little bit confusing? Audiences and critics thought so too. After 12 previews and 9 performances, the show closed. It was not widely accepted at the time, proving to be too avant-garde.
After almost 16 years later, the show has developed a cult following, and a revival is being done in Southwark Playhouse in London this season. This next song is one of the most well-known numbers for the show.
Everybody says don't.
Everybody says don't.
Everybody says don't. It isn't right. Don't. It isn't nice. Everybody says don't.
Everybody says don't.
Everybody says don't walk on the grass. Don't disturb the peace. Don't skate on the ice. Well, I say do. I say
Walk on the grass it was meant to feel.
I say sail. Sail to the windmill, and if you fail, you fail. Everybody says don't. Everybody says don't. Everybody says don't get out of line. When they say that, then maybe that's a sign. 9 times out of 10, but you are doing just fine. Just a ripple. Just a ripple. Be brave. This time a ripple. This time a ripple. Next time a wave. Next time a wave. Sometimes you have to start small, climbing the tiniest wall. Maybe you're going to fall, but it's better than not starting at all. Everybody says no, everybody says stop, everybody says mustn't rock the boat, mustn't touch a thing. Everybody says don't, everybody says wait, everybody says can't fight City Hall, can't upset the cart, can't laugh at the king. Well, I say try, I say laugh at the king's gonna make you cry, lose your voice. All you have to, my lady, make a noise. Everybody says don't, everybody says can't, everybody says wait around for miracles. That's the way the world is made. I insist on miracles. If you do, then miracles. Nothing to them. I say don't. Don't be afraid.
The mid-60s also saw another collaboration for Sondheim, this time with Richard Rodgers. Yes, that Richard Rodgers. After the death of Rodgers' longtime writing partner, Oscar Hammerstein, Stephen Sondheim stepped in to fill the role left vacant by his longtime mentor.
However, Do I Hear a Waltz was not as successful as Rodgers' past creations. There were also some challenges during the process that, for Sondheim, affirmed that he would want to be responsible for both the lyrics and the music moving forward.
In 1966, Mr. Sondheim took a step in a slightly different direction and wrote Evening Primrose for ABC Stage 67, a television anthology series. First airing in November 1966, Evening Primrose is based on a John Collier short story published in the 1951 collections Fancies and Goodnights.
Evening Primrose follows a young poet seeking refuge by hiding out in a closed apartment store where he meets a strange community of people. There, he falls in love with a girl named Ella, but faces complications when their leader forbids the relationship. Let me see the world with clouds, take me to the world out where I can push through clouds, take me to the world.
We shall see the world come true. We shall have the world. I won't be afraid. With you, we shall have the world. Just hold my hand, and know you're not alone. We shall have the world to keep, such a lovely world. You'll weep. We shall have the world forever, for our own.
On April 26, 1970, Company opened on Broadway. As one of the first dark comedies of its time, the show was groundbreaking as it explored the relatively mundane ideas of relationships and marriage. The plot follows the life of Bobby, who is navigating the ideas of love and happiness in life on the night before their 35th birthday. Company was a revolution that paved the way for similar shows in the following years.
When Company premiered, it was originally written for a man. However, in October of 2017, a London revival swapped out male Bobby, B-O-B-B-Y, for female Bobby, B-O-B-B-I-E. This casting has brought new life to the show and is currently being played on Broadway.
Bobby, 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 baby, Bobby, love you, Bobby, 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 baby, Bobby, love you, reach the light, got something to tell you, Bobby, Bobby, we've been trying to reach you all day, Bobby, we talked about you, something to say, the light was busy, Bobby, Bobby, how have you been?
premiered in 1971 and ran for 522 performances. It garnered 11 Tony nominations and won 7 of them. It also received the New York Drama Critics Circle Award for Best Musical.
The show about ex-colleagues, performers reuniting in their old place of work before the theater was torn down. It features unhappy marriages, affairs, and past loves.
The sun comes up, I think about you. The coffee cup, I think about you. I want you so, it's like I'm losing my mind. The morning ends, I think about you. I talk to friends and think about you. And do they know it's like I'm losing my mind? All afternoon doing every little chore. The thought of you stays bright. Sometimes I stand in the middle of the floor, not going left, not going right. I dim the lights and think about you. Spend sleepless nights and think about you. And that you love me, or were you just being kind? Or am I losing my mind? I want you so, it's like I'm losing my mind. And do they know it's like I'm losing my mind? All afternoon doing every little chore. The thought of you stays bright. Sometimes I stand in the middle of the floor, not going left, not going right. I dim the lights and think about you. Spend sleepless nights to think about you. You said you loved me, or were you just being kind? Or am I losing my mind?
Two years later, A Little Night Music opened on Broadway in 1973.
The show was inspired by the 1955 Ingmar Bergman film Smiles on a Summer Night, which involves the romantic lives of several couples. I guess you could say Mr. Sondheim had a thing about exploring the depths of romantic relationships.
The song you are about to hear was written specifically for Glennis Johns, who starred as Desiree in the original Broadway production. Her voice wasn't very strong, so Sondheim needed to keep the vocal demands of that role small for her to be able to perform at her fullest.
The second half of the 1970s was just as productive for Sondheim. The Frogs, based around a Greek comedy by Aristophanes, opened for the first time at Yale University in 1974. The original production was done in the swimming pool, with a cast including then students Meryl Streep, Sigourney Weaver, and Christopher Durang. The show was extended from a 50 minutes to a 2-hour show for Broadway in 2004 by Nathan Lane.
Sondheim's next production was Pacific Overtures in 1976. Set in 1853, Pacific Overtures tells the story of the westernization of Japan and the two friends who seem caught in the middle. An article written by Rick Pender says this about the show. Inspired by haiku, kabuki theaters, and Asian tonalities, Sondheim's score was unlike anything he has written before or since.
In the late 1970s, Sondheim created a new concept for a musical: Sweeney Todd, The Demon Barber of Fleet Street, was the first Gothic horror musical. Sweeney Todd, as it is most commonly referred to, tells the story of Sweeney, an unjust, exiled barber who seeks vengeance on the judge who framed him and destroyed his life. Attend the tale of Sweeney Todd. His skin was killing, his eye was odd. He shaved the faces of gentlemen who never thereafter were heard of again. He trod the path that few had trod, did Sweeney Todd, the demon barber of Fleet Street.
He kept a shop in London town, a fancy quaint and Goodman Road. And when none of their souls were saved, they went to their makers and had good shade. By Sweeney Todd,
The demon barber of Fleet Street. Swing your razor wisely, pull it to the sky. Bravery flows the blood of those who arise.
his knees were few and his room was bare, now the bone of fancy chair. Like his sides of leather strong, and with a tower of heaven and law.
Or neatness he deserves a nod.
The Sweeney Todd, the demon barber of Fleet Street. Sweeney was quick and quiet and clean. He was back with a smile under his word. Sweeney heard music that nobody heard. Sweeney colored and Sweeney played like a burning machine. Sweeney was smooth, Sweeney was subtle. Sweeney would blink and rats would scuttle. Sweeney was singing with Sweeney. Oh, Sweeney would play and rats would scuttle. Sweeney was good, Sweeney was good. Sweeney would play and rats would scuttle. Sweeney was Sweeney, Sweeney, Sweeney,
Attend the tale of Sweeney Todd.
Attend the tale of Sweeney Todd.
He served a dark and a vengeful God.
Served a dark and a vengeful God.
What happened then? Well, that's the play, and he wouldn't want us to give it away.
Not Sweeney. Not Sweeney Todd. The demon barber of Fleet Street.
On November 16th, 1981, Merrily We Roll Along performed for the first time. 2 weeks later, November 20th, 1981, it closed, mainly due to negative reviews. The show is about a Broadway composer who left his career and family to move to Hollywood to become a producer. The show took some risks casting teenagers and young adults and having a timeline that moved nearly 20 years backwards. Although its original production was not very successful, it has had lots of successful off-Broadway revivals.
The 1980s were not all bad for Sondheim and the works he created. Both Sunday in the Park with George in 1984 and Into the Woods in 1987 received much praise. Sunday in the Park with George follows George Seurat in his journey to create his most famous art piece, a pointillism painting called A Sunday Afternoon on the Island of La Grande Jatte.
James Lapine, the writer of the script for the show, said the painting looked like a stage set but was missing the main character. Sondheim suggested that George be that main character. Sondheim imagined each white key of the piano corresponding to a color in George's palette and tried to capture the feeling of pointillism in the piece. It was nominated for several Tonys, winning only for scenic and lighting design. It did, however, win a Pulitzer Prize and was the only Sondheim musical to do so.
Into the Woods was a mashup of a number of familiar fairy tales. However, it wouldn't be a Sondheim show without the twist. The first act ends with everyone getting what they wished for. However, its second act goes on to answer the question of what really happens after happily ever after. It goes on more to explore the harsher realities of getting what you wish for. This next song is from the first act of two royal brothers discussing their difficulties of their romantic pursuits.
Did I abuse her or show her disdain? Why does she run from me? If I should lose her, how shall I regain the heart she has won from me? Agony beyond power of speech, when the one thing you want is the only thing out of your reach. High in her tower, she sits by the hour, maintaining her hair, blind and becoming, frequently haunting a light-hearted air. Agony, far more painful than yours, when you know she would go with you if there only were doors. Agony, oh, the torture they teach. What's as intriguing or half so fatiguing as what's out of reach? Am I not sensitive, clever, well-mannered, considerate, passionate, charming, as kind as I'm handsome, and heir to a throne? You are everything maidens could wish for, and why not do I know that who must be mad? You know nothing of madness till you're climbing her hair and you see her up there as you're nearing her, all the while hearing her agony, misery, won't know it's different for each. Always 10 steps behind, always 10 feet below, and she's just out of reach. Agony that can cut like a knife. I must have her to wife.
In Sondheim's later life, he wrote the music for lesser-known musicals. Passion was a one-act musical which ran on Broadway from May 1994 to January 1995. Passion told the story of an Italian soldier's obsessive and conflicting love life.
Sondheim also wrote the music for Saturday Night, which was supposed to premiere in 1954, but never did because of the death of a producer. Saturday Night premiered in the UK in 1994, and again off-Broadway in 2000.
Assassins, which premiered on Broadway in 1990 and on Broadway in 2004, is a collective biography of the historical figures who attempted to assassinate U.S. presidents, and explains what their presence in American history says about the ideals of their life and country.
Sondheim's last musical was called Roadshow. It tells the story of the Meisner brothers' adventures across America in the early 20th century. The show originally was produced in 1990 under the name Wise Guys, and again under the name Bounce in 2003. It premiered once again off-Broadway in 2008, with its final production being titled Wise Guys.
When news of Sondheim's death reached the theater community this past November, tributes poured in from all over the world. The people he knew told stories. Those who had the honor to perform his music shared the profound impact his work had on them.
To honor the life and legacy of Sondheim, a tribute performance of Sunday from his Pulitzer Prize-winning work, Sunday in the Park with George, was organized in Times Square on Sunday, November 28th, 2 days after the news of Sondheim's death. Lin-Manuel Miranda opened the tribute with a quote from his book, Look, I Made a Hat, about peace.
On Sunday. This is the only lyric I have written that contains one long, incomplete sentence. I wanted it to be like the descriptive caption you might read in a museum next to the painting. I would hope that the tone would echo the permanence of the painting.